everybody else saves up their money to buy cars and things, and like I just buy film stuff.
Films. I just bought a $8,000 camera.
Yeah.
And dead again. So.
Hi, I'm Max, and I'm the writer-director of Nursery.
And I'm Tavis, the cinematographer of Nursery.
What inspired you to become a filmmaker?
You want me to go first?
Oh, I'll go.
Sorry.
Okay. I was lucky, so from a really early age, I knew that I wanted to be a film director. I didn't always think that it would actually be a possible career path. There was never really anything else I wanted to do. I remember I did 1 or 2 days work experience with a politician once, but I hated it so much. It was so bureaucratic and dry. I was just interested in people, and a good way of working with people was making films and stories about human beings. My
road here is quite extensive. There's kind of two pathways that I kind of followed. One was probably my father. My dad had VHS cameras lying around, and he actually filmed from 1993, probably earlier, 1990. He filmed our entire lives, every single Christmas, birthday, family gatherings that we had. He always had his huge VHS camera, and it was always around. And then he upgraded to DV when DV came out, and then went to digital and stuff. So there was always a camera around in my house. When I finished high school, I asked him if I could take his DV camera to the last day of my high school, and I just picked it up and followed people around and pretty much filmed the last day of school. It's pretty shocking. It's not even any kind of filmmaking, but it was I was narrating it, and it was really silly. But my dad really liked it. As
a kid, I still have them. I used to make storyboards with 35mm camera. So I used to get all my toys, like my Action Man, and I borrowed the next door neighbor's Barbie so that she could be the heroine. The damsel in distress sort of vibe, and I would position them in scenes and then take a photograph and put them into a sequence or a story.
I actually wanted to be an audio engineer before I kind of discovered you could actually do film as a career, and I went down that route because I come from a music background. I play guitar, or used to play guitar for 9 years, and I was really into kind of how sound worked.
Yeah.
And then I went to uni and started at Swinburne, and I hated it, and then kind of grew into cinematography and found my route through cinematography. But I met Max I would have been in year
high school?
Not high school, it was college. We met at Claremont.
In Tasmania they have college, but in here it would be called high school.
Yeah.
Do you have any regrets about going to uni for film?
No.
I think sometimes there's this very cynical view with film school that it's a bit of a waste of time. You can learn anything you do in film school outside of film school, but I don't necessarily think that's true. In what situation would you ever be making films consistently? You're literally in a place surrounded by other filmmakers and talented creative people.
I didn't actually graduate. I did all my core units. I had one minor elective to go. I failed a subject in second year and had to repeat it in third year, so I had to drop a subject. And I was going to go back in 2016, but I ended up just getting work.
Okay.
And I took it was paid work, so I was I'm going to take that, and then I had 1 day of paid work and then didn't work for 6 months.
No, I don't regret going to university. I think there's definitely an argument for not going, but I don't have any regrets myself from going to film school.
Doing cinematography in film school is, you do have access to all this wonderful gear, and Swinburne were really great to provide their students with that technology.
How important is the relationship with the crew as a filmmaker?
That's really important.
That's a really good question.
Especially working at our level, it's very important because you're often asking people to do favours for you, non-industry rates or favour rates, like mates rates, and if there's no relationship there, it's very difficult often to work with new people. But in saying that, the industry is what it is. There's often people out there that are really keen to get their hands on a project, especially this what we're working on. It's quite unique to be shooting on 16 Well, maybe not anymore. We're all like very hipster now.
Yeah.
It definitely draws people in because it sort of means that you're working with a caliber of crew, and really you need the caliber of cast to back up a production where every time you press record, there's dollars running through the camera. You can't just take 10 takes for every scene, every shot, because I'm self-funding this project. The budget is finite. Like eventually we'll run out of money if we were to do.
For me, it's something I just learned over the course of shooting something. I don't know. I just don't like rocking up, sitting behind the camera, and there's someone sitting there, and we don't know each other.
Yeah.
And anyway, in Australia, like camera operators are usually the DPs. I have to feel, or they have to put their trust not only in director, but I feel like if they're more comfortable with me being close to them, I feel like the camera becomes so invisible. That's a process that I've really tried to put on myself, and same with my gaffer and my camera assistants. I like to be really, really present with the director and their performance. I just feel like sometimes the camera can become very intrusive to a performance, especially when you're shooting on wider lenses and going in for closer up. Sometimes you're like, performance here, and you're like very, very close to them. It's very, very intrusive. I think the best work that I've done has been making films with people that not only I can trust, but I like being around.
Right.
Like I always say, if we can have a beer together and stuff, if we can have a beer, or we can talk about our very intimate details of our lives and share that with each other, then I 100% trust you with the film.
Do you think it's important, just in the same way, that you have a variety of casts, so say a diversity of people who come from different parts, who come from different ideas, say from different genres, to be in the same sort of cast or crew? Not the cast exactly, but mostly in the crew where they have different ideas.
Yeah, especially for this, it was important. Like even just back in the day when it was just Tavis and I working and talking about the script, when it was just sort of floating around, it wasn't like we didn't have a lot of people on the team. We always spoke about how important it was to have a lot of female voices. I guess I'm coming into it with my queer perspective as well. Casting as well, I think it's important. TV is usually pretty Anglo in Australia, so it'd be nice to get a wide range of people, just purely because it kind of adds more. Like you said, the kind of people bring their own stories to the table. So I don't know, a lot of filmmaking is about making discoveries in the moment. So if you have somebody there with an interesting perspective or backstory, then that can only really help you.
It was really big for us in really early days to have a really diverse crew as well. I just naturally I hire quite a female kind of crew members, just because they're good at their job. Like my gaffer, she's not only my best friend, but she's incredibly talented at what she does. But she also understands me as a person as well, so she knows what I like, what I don't like, and stuff like that. It's just always been talent first, but also being very, very mindful to give people opportunities.
Naomi's helped me with that, I guess. It's not something I always think about, but for example, Naomi's quite good at being well, hang on, all of these people that you're looking at in this shortlist are all Anglo, maybe we should be looking further afield. And I'm true.
Filmmaker who writes about stories that are very personal, how do you know when to end that story and walk away?
This film, there was a few challenges I came across when I was writing it, because the main character is based on my mother. I came across one or two challenges, especially writing a personal story, where it would start to drift away from reality and into fiction. Where I was should I be writing it like this? This seems not a very nice thing for that character to be doing, and it didn't really happen in real life. But I kind of had to just put that aside and say, well, hang on, now my responsibility is to make a good film, not serve the real people's story. I need to write something that an audience would want to watch, and that just became a part of it. But I don't know, that was an interesting experience, actually stopping myself from writing something that a character did that wasn't very nice. And then I chatted to chatted about that with a couple of people, and they were like, "Oh no, like I think you should write that in. That's a really good character."
As a young filmmaker, what's more important, quality or quantity?
Quality or quantity? Oh,
What's more important?
Yeah, with respect to getting more experience and getting better at what you do,
Oh,
what's more important?
so with experience, I would say
quality, quantity for experience.
quantity. Yeah, because bad experiences
Shape you.
can still be good learning experiences.
Oh, yeah.
I first interpreted that question like you're real, like what's better,
That's what
raw
I-
work
yeah.
or quality work. I would say quality work.
Quality
like
work.
I was always told by some of the senior directors that I worked under previously that you should only ever put the work that you want people to see up on your reel.
Mm.
Like don't, just because you've done 50 jobs, don't put them all up. Put up
Yeah.
your best 5 or 10.
Mm.
That always reads better than having a lot of things on your reel, I suppose.
And start with the best one first.
Yeah, I would say.
Right.
Something at least, and like that's so subjective what the best one is. You know,
Yeah.
you might decide that that's your favorite project because of one reason, but somebody else might like this other film that you made.
Right. Final question is: if
Yeah.
you had to go back to your first year film uni,
Ooh,
what advice would you give to that guy? Or if you had to go back, what would you do?
To 2013 me.
I guess that'd be so crazy because you could come at it with all the experience that I've gained in like the 6 years or whatever
Yeah.
after university.
Yeah.
Or what would you say to a first year student who's in uni studying film, thinking of studying film?
You've got a really, really long road ahead of you if you want to do this because there's quite a lot of sacrifices that you might have to make along the way.
Learn to love the journey.
Learn to love the journey, which is still every day I say that to myself.
Yeah, it's even something that I grapple with. Like somebody, like my friends say, like, "Oh, I just turned 30. I'll never be a young filmmaker like Xavier Dolan or I don't know Spielberg or something."
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but they're one person in like 10 million.
Yeah. You know, like just get your breakthrough at 35.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Be happy being really poor.
Yeah, I'm broke
Yeah,
right now.
because everybody else saves up their money to
Yeah.
buy cars and things, and
Yeah.
like I just buy film stuff.
Films. I just bought an $8,000 camera.
Yeah.
I'm dead again. So if I have to go back to 2013, I would have not done sound. I would have gone straight into camera.
Yeah,
Or lighting.
I would have. I guess if I was talking to myself personally, I would have tried to make more personal stories. I think
Yeah.
that they would have been more interesting projects.
Yeah.
But I think my age, like I was 20 years old when I first started uni. I don't think I was as open and vulnerable and comfortable in my own skin as I am now. Like I'd only just come out of the closet.
That's right.
And like I don't know, you just kind of got to discover who you are first before you can put your own voice into your films.
Yeah. And that obviously comes back to the whole life thing.
Yeah.
The older you get, the more life experience you get, the more you probably have to say.